Watch these 8 Star Trek episodes to truly understand Seven of Nine. Seven of Nine is one of Star Trek's most fascinating characters, not because she starts out relatable, but because she very much doesn't. Introduced in Star Trek Voyager Season 4 as a former Borg drone forcibly severed from the collective, Seven arrives efficient, blunt, emotionally detached, and deeply uncomfortable with individuality. Over time, however, she becomes a living case study in what it means to reclaim personhood after trauma. Seven's journey isn't a straight line. It's messy, contradictory, sometimes frustrating, and often deeply moving. To truly understand her, not just as the ex-Borg, but as a survivor, a seeker, and eventually a protector, you need to see her at different points in that evolution. These 8 episodes, spanning Voyager and Star Trek Picard, form in your complete psychological and emotional portrait of Seven of Nine. 1. Scorpion, Part 2. Voyager Season 4, Episode 1. The Birth of Seven of Nine. You can't understand Seven without starting here. Scorpion, Part 2, isn't just her introduction, it's her origin trauma laid bare. Rescued or abducted, depending on perspective. From the Borg Collective by Captain Janeway, Seven is violently severed from the only existence she has known since childhood. Her resistance is visceral. She doesn't want freedom. She wants belonging. The Collective, horrific as it is, provided certainty, purpose, and connection. What makes this episode essential is how unheroic Seven's liberation is. There's no triumphant music cue, no grateful acceptance. Seven experiences individuality as loss. Her anger toward Janeway isn't petulant, it's grief. This episode establishes a core truth about Seven. She didn't choose to be Borg, but she also didn't choose to stop being Borg. Everything that follows is shaped by that unresolved contradiction. 2. The Gift. Voyager Season 4, Episode 2, Identity as Physical and Emotional Pain. If Scorpion introduces Seven, the Gift defines her struggle. As the Doctor removes Seven's Borg implants, the process is excruciating, both physically and psychologically. The episode smartly parallels her transformation with Kes's departure, underscoring that evolution often involves loss, not just growth. Seven's distress here is profound. She isn't simply adjusting to a new body, she's being stripped of certainty. Her cold insistence on Borg efficiency is a defense mechanism, a way to avoid confronting the terror of being alone inside her own mind. The Gift makes clear that Seven's journey won't be about becoming more human in a simple sense. It's about learning how to exist without a collective identity, something Star Trek rarely examines with this level of emotional honesty. 3. The Raven. Voyager Season 4, Episode 6. Reclaiming a Stolen Childhood. Seven's Borg identity didn't begin with assimilation. It began with her parents. The Raven reveals Annika Hansen, the human child whose parents obsessively study the Borg and ultimately drag their daughter into catastrophe. This episode reframes Seven's story. She isn't just a former drone, but the victim of parental obsession and neglect. What makes this episode vital is how it complicates blame. The Borg are still monsters, but Seven's trauma predates them. Her parents' choices stripped her of agency long before the collective did. By the end, Seven recovers her parents' ship logs, fragments of a life she barely remembers. She doesn't get closure, but she gets context. From here on, Seven isn't just running from the Borg, she's trying to understand who Annika Hansen might have been. 4. Drone. Voyager Season 5, Episode 2. Motherhood, Individuality, and Responsibility. Drone is a quietly devastating episode because it forces Seven into an unfamiliar role, caretaker. When a transporter accident creates a new Borg drone using Seven's nanoprobes, she initially views it as a mistake to be corrected. But as the drone, eventually named One, develops individuality, Seven becomes something like a mother, teacher, and moral guide. The episode is essential because it shows Seven actively choosing individuality, not for herself, but for someone else. She encourages One's independence even though it frightens her. And when One sacrifices himself to save Voyager, Seven is left to process grief she can no longer deny. Drone proves that Seven's humanity isn't theoretical. It emerges most strongly when she takes responsibility for another life and accepts the emotional cost that comes with it. 5. Someone to Watch Over Me. Voyager Season 5, Episode 22. Romance as Cultural Exploration. Seven's romantic arc has always been controversial. But Someone to Watch Over Me works because it treats intimacy as a learned behavior, not a sudden awakening. With the Doctor acting as an awkward Cyrano de Bergerac, 7 attempts to understand romance through observation and practice. Her blunt questions and literal interpretations are often funny, but the humor never undercuts her vulnerability. The episode is crucial because it shows 7 experimenting with emotion without surrendering her identity. She doesn't become soft, she becomes curious. And when the relationship doesn't work, she doesn't collapse, she learns. This is 7 discovering that emotional risk doesn't guarantee reward, but that avoidance guarantees isolation. It's a lesson that echoes loudly in her later life. 6. Imperfection. Voyager Season 7, Episode 2, Letting Go of the Borg to Survive. By Season 7, 7 has integrated her Borg and human identities, but imperfection reminds us that healing is never complete. As her remaining Borg implants begin to fail, 7 faces death unless she accepts a risky medical procedure that will strip away the last of her enhancements. For 7, this isn't just a medical choice, it's existential. Her Borg nature still feels like protection. The episode's emotional core lies in 7's bond with Ikeb, another former drone. Their relationship reflects 7's growth. She's no longer just surviving, she's mentoring, caring, and fearing loss. Imperfection cements 7's evolution. She chooses life as herself, not as a half-Borg compromise. It's a quiet but powerful declaration of selfhood. 7. Stardust City Rag. Star.